We had a decent sell off last week, but are we going to be making that recovery early? Last year in August, we had a big sell off, and honestly, it continued a decent amount. But we did make a V shaped recovery, coming back to all time highs. And honestly, man, we did have another sell off in September, but September is normally bearish as well. And then, of course, we did make another like a decent V shaped recovery. Wasn't as big as August, but honestly, man, we did make another recovery, making some new highs. And right now, the stock market is looking pretty good, and we're doing it a little bit early. Before it was kind of like around like we did make a little bit of a recovery on August 5th, and then sell off again, and then like August 8th, we made another V-shaped recovery, coming back up to all-time highs, continuation to the upside. Of course, you have to give it a few days to let this form up to see if it's like actually a V-shaped recovery, and or are we kind of just getting faked out. So I do recommend waiting a few days to see. And honestly, man, you can get in at any time and still make a decent amount of money. So patience is key in this market. Right now, looking at it though, we are looking like we're coming back up. We do got some levels to break. So first one I'm looking at is going to be at 627.5, 630, 633.5. And then, of course, all the way up to like that 640 level once again. If we get back up there, honestly, we already made our V-shaped recovery back up. So honestly, man, just have your patience overall trading for this week. And honestly, we have a lot of news to cover, a lot of things that can really shape the overall market. But August does seem to be very, very bearish, and also September. So keep that in mind, because we do have volatility like itching up higher. We're going to be talking about a little bit later, and just a lot to talk about. So without further ado, man, let's get started. Let's tell you guys everything that you guys got to expect for this week. I did come out with a video yesterday kind of summarizing everything, giving you guys some sports and resistance. And then on Sunday's video, we came in more in depth with news that happened on Friday, because Friday was honestly just a weird day. We had people getting fired, bad job data, and stuff like that. But like I said before, man, August doesn't really look too good, and September as well. But then we start itching up higher in October, November, and December towards the end of the year. But with that all being said, man, we're currently in August. And if you guys look at this blue dot right here, it is the post-election year. And those tend to look bad in August. With that all being said, though, man, just keep this on your mind, because we might be able to sell off a little bit more. We might itch up a little bit higher today and then just sell off, make some new lows. So please just have your patience overall trading. Be willing to adjust if you guys are into some calls. Be willing to adjust to some put options, but don't trade against the market. If we're going upwards, just go upwards with the market until we go down, and that's when you got to adjust. So have those day trades ready. Like I showed you guys before, with that being said, we do see a sell-off at around this time, but it did come back with a V-shaped recovery. I'm going to be looking to see if we can get this V-shaped recovery to form, and if so, I'm definitely going to be scoping out some long-term call options on NVIDIA, Tesla, and some others. So stay tuned, and I'll be sure to make a video and some shorts when that time comes around. A lot of money can be made. Just have some time and some patience with this, because honestly, if you time this right, you can make a decent amount of money. But investors are wondering why we are selling off, and we do see an economy weakening. People are pointing at the job data that came out last week. So we did add 73,000 jobs in July. It was pretty good, but lower than estimated. The estimated was like 100,000, and didn't look too good overall with the revisions, even having someone fired for it. But this can show the economy weakening overall, and this being a key indicator for the Fed overall. We did see the Fed rate cuts go from like, I think it was like 45% to 89.8%, almost 90% of a chance that we're going to be cutting in September. So keep that in mind, because this can bring some bullish sentiment in the market overall. But we do also see that volatility starts to shoot up starting August, and it is updated with the past week. So it is kind of lagging, but honestly, man, it did start to shoot upwards. And once we get to like that 40 zone, more volatility, more bearish the markets tends to be for some reason. And then sometimes you get some bullish plays too. But with that being said, man, just keep this on your mind, because then we are kind of falling a little bit behind. But honestly, the spike might bring us back up to like around the range that we need to be at. So honestly, man, keep this in mind. We did have a lot of volatility in April, but everybody knows about the tariffs that happened. So honestly, man, if you look at this big spike right here coming all the way up to 55, we did tend to be bearish overall with the market, but we did make a V-shaped recovery, and it started slowing down a little bit. So honestly, man, I'm just watching this. Honestly, maybe like volatility can spike up, we might go down a little bit more, and you might see volatility slow down, and then we start like itching up higher. Because sometimes when the stock market goes up higher, that's when volatility starts to shoot lower, because the market takes the elevator down and the stairs up. First link in the description below, I have a bunch of courses to help you guys become more profitable. I have a long term that gives you guys 40 free stocks to outperform the S&P 500, especially in this time. And I also have, how to read charts, basic beginner things for trading overall, and how to make money off of $0 on your computer. So go check out these courses with that code down below. You guys can get 50% off, and the courses are already relatively cheap. Maybe some good news for Apple overall, but Apple is reportedly developing its own AI server chips in-house. A project codenamed ACDC, Apple Chips in Data Center. This move is a clear signal that Apple is serious about competing in the AI race and reducing its reliance on other companies like NVIDIA. The company is partnering with its long-time chip manufacturer TSMC to design and produce these new chips, which will be focused on inference, the process of running AI models. This will allow Apple to have more control over both its hardware and software, leading to better performance overall, efficiency, and enhanced privacy for users. This is a classic Apple move, vertical integration to create a seamless, powerful user experience overall. And this can bring Apple stock up because honestly, people has been waiting for Apple to get into Apple Intelligence. This is kind of like rumored, so we're not going to see a big move with Apple quite yet, but this might be an opportunity to get into Apple because maybe this news, maybe if they make it official or something like that, they can get up to like 215 to 220, especially with investors wanting more or wanting Apple to get into the AI race, basically, and then making their own chips. This is going to look a little bit better. But let me give you guys some other things, and then after that, man, we'll get to some supports and resistance. But APAC stocks traded mixed following a quiet weekend of news flow and last Friday's disappointment of non-farm payrolls data, which we showed a little bit earlier. U.S. President Trump said on Sunday that he will announce a new head of BLS in the next 3 or 4 days. U.S. President Trump said he is to announce a replacement for Fed's Kugler in the next couple of days as well, with the resign that happened on Friday. European liquidity futures indicate a positive cash market open with the Euro Stocks 50 future up 0.4% after a cash market suffered losses of 2.9% on Friday. DXY is a touch firmer after Friday's selling pressure. Euro and USD ran out of steam ahead of 1.116 USD. Crude slightly lower after OPEC plus agreement to increase oil output by 548,000 BPD in September. Overall, the market, man, we had a quiet weekend. We didn't really have news, like big news that really like would move the market overall, but we do have stocks itching up higher. But with that being said, man, we do have Palantir and AMD earnings, so keep that on your radar. But I'm very, very pumped to see how Palantir does after close, and this can potentially move NVIDIA stock. We also have AMD as well and Supermicro, so these all three can really move chip stocks overall, can maybe move it to the upside or the downside depending on how they basically report. So I'm very, very pumped to see how that does. But with that being said, man, let's get into some supports and resistance. So AMD is looking pretty good, and I was kind of looking at it yesterday. Compared to like NVIDIA or something like that, AMD is holding up a little bit higher overall than NVIDIA. And honestly, I'm very, very pumped to see how AMD moves, but we might see a bigger sell-off and or a bigger buyback. With that being said, watch that 175, 177.5, that 179, 180, and then that 183.5 to that 185.5. If we can break above that, we might even get the 190. To the downside, look at that 172, 170, 168.5, 167, and that 165 level to the downside. For Boeing overall, man, it is still showing some selling pressure. We did itch up, but honestly, we itched down lower, honestly, with Boeing. So honestly, this one might still go to the downside, but honestly, just have your patience because we might open up green. With that all being said, to the downside, look at that 220, 218, 216.5, 215, and that 210 to the upside. Look at that 222.5, 224, 227.5, and that 230 level for Boeing overall. For the SPY, man, I'm very, very pumped to see how we move. We did itch up higher than the highs from Friday, so we are looking a little bit better, but I do want to see if we can break above that 627.5, 632, 635, and then that 640 level for the SPY. I mean, honestly, man, if we can get a big day today, it can really just reverse this downtrend basically. But to the downside, look at that 623.5, 621, 620, 618, and that 615 level to the downside. For NVIDIA, man, I'm very, very pumped to see how NVIDIA moves as well. Honestly, man, I wanted to get into a V-shaped recovery for NVIDIA, but if we do start itching up higher, man, it's going to be insane. NVIDIA is that one stock that moves first before the S&P 500. So, you know, if we do get a lot of selling pressure in the market, you'll see NVIDIA trade lower. And then, honestly, if a lot of people are buying things, you're going to see NVIDIA move first. But to the upside, look at that 176.5. 177.5, 179, that 180 level. Past that 180, look at 181.5, 183.5, and that 185 level next. To the downside, 174.5, 173, 171.5, and then that 170 flat over here. This is a buy zone that I have, and I have another buy zone at that 168 and then even 166. These are going to be some zones I'm watching for like that previous V-shaped recovery. But if we don't form that, if we do start itching up higher, then and don't even touch this level once again, it's not really going to be a good buy zone. And this one is just a temporary buy zone. If we do start itching down lower, and if it's like right at market open, I'm not going to buy it at this zone. Probably going to buy it at one of these zones. But I'm going to have my patience with NVIDIA overall. And honestly, you can even play put options too. That's going to print as well. Next is going to be Apple. Honestly, with this AI news, it can potentially bring it up a little bit higher. So I am watching Apple overall. My buy zones is going to be that 200, 196.5, and 195. Honestly, man, if we go in like the 30-minute, zoom out a little bit, we did have some decent bounces off of these ones and then some greater bounces off of these ones down here. And honestly, man, they did make a decent amount of money. I played these ones in the past. And honestly, man, getting down at this range is looking a little bit better. But right now, we're itching up a little bit higher. So I'm going to be looking at a 205, 207, 209, 210. 212.5 and that 215 level. To the downside, if we do start itching down lower, 201.5, 200, 198.5, 196.5, and that 195 level to the downside. And these are my buy zones if you guys are interested in putting this in your charts as well and just watching how it goes. The first buy zone is always temporary. Honestly, especially if we hit it like 30 minutes to an hour after market opens, I'm potentially not going to buy it. But, at around, sometimes we might get a little dip down to it and honestly might get a little bounce off. So just keep that in mind. Tesla overall is looking pretty decent too. I was thinking about buying it at that 300 level, but I was having my patience because I did want to wait until like August 8th to August 12th to see if we could sell off a little bit more. I mean, we still can too. Keep that in mind. We're just itching up a little bit higher right now. And honestly, if the stocks go up today, this buy zone is going to be out of the play, but 300 is a good buy zone. If we zoom out to this one as well, we bounced above it like multiple times and we weren't below it. And honestly, man, if you get this for like a couple weeks out, you should be able to hit this play. With that being said, though, if we do start itching down lower, watch that 305. If we break below that 305, look at that 302, 300, 293, 290, and then 285. But honestly, I don't think we can get down that low. To the upside, look at that 310, 315, 320, 325, and 330. Honestly, man, Tesla moves pretty fast, and if you're in one of these rallies upwards or downwards, you can make a decent amount of money off Tesla overall. Google is another one looking pretty good. One of my buy zones was 188.2, 186.12, and honestly, man, you can even look at that 184 to that 180 flat. But with that being said, if we do start itching up higher, look at that 192.5, 194, 195, 197.5, and of course that 199 to that 200 level. Honestly, man, I'm happy to see Google back at this 200 level. Hopefully we can break past it, but honestly, man, just have your patience. One indicator that I was watching throughout the week was Bitcoin and crypto in general, and for a lot of cryptos, we made that V-shaped recovery, or it's kind of forming already. If you can see like Ethereum, Bitcoin, we're seeing a little bit of a V-shaped recovery. And if we can keep on itching up higher, this is going to make the stock market overall look good. We have XRP above $3 or Ripple, whatever you guys want to call it. But we are above $3. We made a decent V-shaped recovery with XRP already. If we can get maybe 3.3 to that 3.5 with XRP, that would look a little bit more bullish overall, especially with like Bitcoin and stuff like that. But if you guys want to trade Bitcoin, I recommend trading IBIT. It's an ETF that moves with Bitcoin. If you get this V-shaped recovery with IBIT, you can probably get up to like 67.5 to that $68 level. And honestly, make a pretty good call option with this one. Some other ones is, of course, going to be like MSTR. A V-shaped recovery at MSTR can probably give you like $20 in the money. And then Coinbase as well. Coinbase sold off like a decent amount. But if you can get a V-shaped recovery with this one, you could probably get back up to like that 370 level at least. But for now, look at like that 340 level. You can make a decent amount of money off coin. If you guys want to trade Ethereum, look at ETHA. It's an ETF that moves with Ethereum relatively cheap. And the options are relatively cheap as well. It's kind of like IBIT. Like this is like September 5th and it's only $154. So if you guys do want to get some safer plays, you guys can play Ethereum. Ethereum is still moving pretty strong, but I mean, right now with these job numbers and stuff like that, Bitcoin, crypto, the overall stock market is going down a little bit more. And let's take a look at gold before we end this video. Gold did indeed make its own V-shaped recovery as well. So honestly, man, with like the Russian news and stuff like that, this might bring gold up too, especially if those tensions get a little bit higher. So keep that in mind overall, man. But with that being said, good luck trading. Comment down below what stocks you guys are watching. Smash the like button, subscribe. Let's get to 500 subs and check out those courses in the description below. Get your profits up. Peace out.